Well, hello and welcome to The Trade. Let's get across some of those big picture stories today that's helping to drive the action. And U.S. consumer prices increased slightly less than expected in September, up 0.3%, as a 4.1% surge in the cost of petrol was partially offset by a sharp moderation in rents, keeping the Fed on track to cut interest rates again this week. In the 12 months through September, inflation rose 3%. Excluding the volatile food and energy components, core CPI gained 0.2%. Chinese and U.S. economic officials have come up with a framework for a trade deal ahead of a meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and President Xi Jinping later this week. And U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said talks on the sidelines of the ASEAN summit in Kuala Lumpur had eliminated the threat of Trump's 100% tariffs on Chinese imports, which were due to take effect next month. He said he also expects China to delay the implementation of its rare earths, minerals, and magnets licensing regime by a year while the policy is reconsidered. U.S. Treasury yields were little changed on Friday. The 10-year yield turned lower after the CPI data, but was last up at 4%. And the 2-year yield was around 3.48%. The U.S. dollar was also little changed, the Aussie dollar buying 65.4 U.S. So with the markets close to record highs, Michael Gable from Fairmont Equities joins me now to delve into the charts. Michael, nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so let's talk the ASX 200. So flirting with record highs yet again. Can it still keep going?
Yes, it does look like it wants to head higher. So, our market has a very lovely trend to it. Across the months of sort of August, September, it did track sideways and consolidate. So if we have a look at this daily chart, the blue lines there show that sort of sideways consolidation. And then in the past several days, we've broken to new highs and we're sitting on top of those previous peaks that were near 9,000. So, that means that we're going to continue trending higher. And when we have a look at, some of the major names on our market, it does look like the banks are heading higher, CSL's improving, BHP's trending. So, it does look like our index wants to continue heading higher for now.
So, you say that it's got the support of sort of the large end of the market, it looks like. Any companies in the sort of mid-cap space that you're keeping your eye on?
Yeah, so I've brought a few charts along. There's a few that I guess have been flying under the radar a bit in the past sort of couple of weeks. Everyone's been talking about gold and rare earths and tech, of course. So I found a few that look like they're going to head higher that no one's really noticing at the moment.
Okay,
so,
what's one?
So the first one we have is AMP. No one really talks about AMP much, and I know that as a long-term sort of prospect, it's been a terrible investment. But I mean, if we have a look at this this weekly chart here, it looks like it's been forming a base for the past sort of 5 years, and it's on the cusp of breaking out. So that's a very positive sign. I'd say if we get a weekly close above $1.90, then you could see a recovery in AMP, and they've had a couple of positive announcements to the market. So definitely one to keep an eye on. I mean, I'd be happy to buy it here, but I think if you break above that blue line, you could end up with a bit of a recovery. So one that I don't think many investors are noticing at the moment.
Yeah, we really don't spend a lot of time on AMP, do we? All right, so Worley is another chart that you've brought along.
Yep.
How is that set up?
That's looking really good as well. So we noticed that last week there was a spike in the oil price for a couple of days, and naturally when you see that, you look for what's Woodside doing, or Santos or one of the other oil companies. Worley is has a very nice correlation to the oil price, and we could see here on the daily chart that it's been forming a bull flag. So that's those blue lines over the past several weeks, and it's starting to break higher. So I think Worley's here is a buying opportunity. I'm expecting a nice recovery on that one. So Woodside jumped a lot, but if you're looking for something else, have a look at Worley. Yeah,
because it is always the sort of top names that get a lot of the attention. BHP, Rio Tinto. I had a chat with a fundamental analyst a little bit earlier on. Those were his favored in that sort of iron ore space. What about Fortescue?
Yes, I mean, Fortescue, of course, it's very well known, but everyone does talk about BHP, and obviously, in the commodity space, we've all been talking gold and rare earths, but Fortescue looks like it's put in a major low. So all of this sort of price action over the past year, to me, looks like a bottoming phase. It looks like what we refer to as an inverse head and shoulders, and what we've seen last week is a break above a key resistance line near $20. So I've circled that there. It looks like we're going to get a nice recovery on Fortescue. So yeah, look, I expect that one to head back into the high 20s as well. So yeah, all the attention's been on BHP. We're holders of BHP, but have a look at Fortescue. I think you'll get a nice move out of that one.
Nice. All right, lucky last. What's this one?
New Hope.
Okay.
So look, coal's not going anywhere. New Hope is involved in thermal coal.
Mm-hmm.
What it's been doing over the past few years is basically consolidating back. So what I've indicated by that large blue line is that it has been drifting back. So it hasn't really been on anyone's radar. Coal prices have sort of slipped a bit over the past couple of years, but the range is tightening up. Look, I think there'll continue to be coal-fired power station extensions here in Australia. The Chinese are still buying a lot of our coal. I think their economy's proving to be very resilient and should pick up. So that will help with coal prices. So the range is starting to tighten up here. So usually that precedes a bit of a decent move higher. So you probably need to see New Hope push through sort of the high falls. But to me, it looks like it's building up to do that. So I wouldn't be surprised if in a few months from now we're talking about coal stocks again.
I love your work, Michael. Thank you so much. So that's 4 sort of under the radar-ish mid to large cap stocks. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Michael Gable, Fairmont Equities. We are taking a very short break. On the other side of that, we will talk more about a little bit about China. Stay with us.